is about AI and Internet of Things. Now there's every industry require AI. They want to use AI in different area of their operations. So the question is there a limitation for a sector or an industry that a government can put a limitation for industry to not to utilize AI? Because AI is quite a double-edged sword, because we are looking into solving a problem, not to create another problem. Let me use an analogy of single-use plastic. We are trying to solve a dehydration problem for people to be drinking water. So they create another problem that is polluting the environment. So what is your take? What do you think about the AI limitation for some sectors or for some industry in the economy? Because I think you mentioned that there is positive and the negative side of the AI. So is there any advice you can give for that? And my second question goes to Tuan Jamil. It's about the employability of the TVET, the students. So do you have any scheme or any program in place for the students to be available for international or looking beyond the Malaysian shore to be employer there? Thank you.
All right, I'll just briefly touch on the first, and then maybe sure if you want to add. In a way, AI it's a tool. If you think about a knife, you could say, people could use knife to kill somebody. So maybe we should ban all usage of knives for the purpose of national security, for example, because it's a double-edged sword, literally. I think where the world is moving, it is very hard for me to imagine not going head on and encouraging utilization of AI for our own survival if the whole world is moving down in that road. Because you will be left behind. Malaysia will be left behind. We know there's also opportunities that bode well with our natural God-given advantages. The locational advantage, we have relatively clean, we have a relative lower cost of energy utilization, we have abundance of land, we are proximate to close countries such as Singapore, where data centers will be able to serve seamlessly. For us to not consider AI may be, in my opinion, not the right way to do it. Rather, what we need to do is via education, via encouraging people to understand the risks of doing AI and be better equipped to be able to win in that world would likely be, in my view, the better option to look at. Because you will lose out a lot of optimization and growth if you decide to go the policy route to discourage that development.
To add on, because you mentioned AI has double-edged sword, right? So in Takaful industry, I'm commenting on Takaful industry because I'm representing the industry. We have our gatekeeper. Cik Firdaus is our chairman of Sharia Committee. They are our gatekeeper. Before any, bagi tepukan sikit pada Cik Firdaus, Dr. Firdaus. Why I say our Sharia Committee is the first gatekeeper? Because they will review whatever proposal, product proposal, marketing proposal, what else? AI proposal, before the company can embark into that journey. Betul tak, Prof? So ada filtration, ada limitations set by the Sharia Committee members to us. Otherwise, we are so aggressive, kita langgar je. And in fact, Bank Negara pun ada sediakan AI framework. However, the issue nowadays is the pace of AI is faster than ever. Some of the framework, regulations, lambat. That's the challenge from the regulator part. In fact, I believe Sharia Committee pun kena masuk AI class to understand the project even deeper. Okay, that's all my comment.
Okay, I just question from Mr. Kazim. Mr. Kazim was my classmate during the MBA. Thank you, Kazim. Okay, I think it's a question about TVET program, right? I think well, at the global scale, actually, with strengthening the program that I mentioned earlier, work-based learning. Work-based learning is compulsory that TVET students to go to the industry for 1 year program, and they have to pass this WBL and will be assessed by both sides, university and also industry. So one of the initiative that we strengthening with the industry, some of the students actually they work here in Malaysia, but the company based in overseas. Let's say for in the creative industry, there is a one company in France, and the student WBL under college community is in here in Malaysia. So I think the movement mobility from local student work abroad, I think is something that we can also strengthening to bring that technology or whatever, especially on the technology or knowledge transfer. So now we are talking about bring from outside money or revenue into our country. We can physically here, but we can work abroad. So this is one of way of the TVET strengthening, because I think we have video. Okay, so that's why I think the program, let's say for the TVET, we are also encouraging that TVET students actually working for that outside technology while we are still here in Malaysia. So there is one program that we are now strengthening with the Ministry of Higher Education and the Polytechnic and College Community. There is one program. Another program is that what we call a public-private partnership. We are now building a one platform to address the supply and demand issues and identify what are the specific program, what are specific skill or certification or joint certification between industry and also TVET institutions, so that it can increase the employability of the student. So we want, if they say they during the WBL program, before they finish the program, is already being offered by the company. So there's no unemployment for the industry. And of course, this is something that industry looking forward, because they really need the manpower, workforce. Of course, AI is helping a lot, but we still need the future workforce for this industry, high growth, high value industry, so that we can turn into our economic at a bigger scale, as we targeted 587 billion by 2030 GDP increase. Thank you.
Thank you to all three panelists for answering the question. I hope they answered your question very well. Mr. Kazim?
How do you mitigate because the human interaction is getting separated. We are moving towards AI. Like you mentioned earlier, everyone is they cannot do without their phone for 24 hours. So how do we bring back human interaction to the level of human computer, human AI, human IT, artificial intelligence interaction?
So, who would like to take that question? I think it's an interesting question.
So let me understand the question perhaps first. What you're saying is, with the advancement of AI, what may get compromised are the human-to-human interactions, right? So that there's personal connection, connectivity. There's also social benefit. We need to consider impact of mental illnesses that may come by the reduction of human-to-human interaction. So from that angle, it's a bit more of a social lens that you're looking at, more than necessarily just a commercial lens. Okay, I think I understand. So, this is not an easy topic to discuss. And I think, especially when it comes to the younger generation, the Gen Z. I have children, my eldest is 26. I'm also very particular about them investing personal time for development and interacting with other people, because otherwise your whole development is somewhat limited, right? I have a younger son who is only doing his A levels, and I can tell you, only until recently, I feel that he has a step up in his maturity in dealing with other people, because for the long time up to primary school he was very much a gamer. His interaction is through gaming and computing, and there were limitations. But with time, alhamdulillah, I think his maturity has stepped up. We sent him to a boarding school, so he's able to interact with more people. I don't think that's an AI issue per se. I think AI happens to be there. It's about the awareness of the other downside effect, especially on psychology. So for those of you who may know, some may know that I have an older brother. His name is Azran. In case you're wondering, we have the same last name, and he is a founder of a startup called Naluri. And Naluri intends to do that in terms of offering a lower cost for psychological assistance for people to need, right? And so there are components of AI also embedded in the application to assist people with some of these challenges. And I think this is something going to be more and more prominent, and it is a social impact issue that we need to be aware. And as corporations, I think we need to do that. So that's why even for work from home, as an example, post-COVID, one of the things most companies inherited is this concept of working from home. On the surface, there's a lot of benefit for that. The cost flexibility, you don't have to go to traffic, you can save time management. But there is also a downside to that. As an example, people interact less with their peers and colleagues. So the ability to underestimate the impact, the rub-on effect of going to office and engaging personally with a young leadership team member, or like Mr. Shoaib in the Great Eastern Takaful, gets lost because you don't develop relationships by being at home. So pros and cons, what we need to do is look and strike at the right balance. So this is not so much a science, it's more of an art, and part of a leader is to be attuned to some of these challenges and sometimes make unpopular calls, like limiting the ability and flexibility from work from home is a clear cut example. I think it's more of a social question than you ask. But that's my take on it.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Mr. Shwab, do you want to maybe add on a little bit?
At the company level, there is no exact solution towards that issues. But we can do engagement program among the staff to encourage more interaction. But it's all depend at individual level. Even anak kita pun kita susah nak halang screen time. Betul tak? Apatah lagi yang dewasa ni. So it's really depends on the individual level how you behave and interact with other human beings.
Thank you, both Mr. Azrul and Mr. Shoaib. Kazim, I hope that pretty much answers your question, yeah? Thank you. So may we get another question from the floor from Mr. Sufyan?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. My name is Muhammad Sufyan bin Umar. Currently, I'm a student for the Master in Islamic Banking and Finance. So, me as someone have a experience 4 years experience in engineering, and also almost 4 years in the investment field in the capital market industries. So, I have a specific questions for the Mr. Azrul. So, okay.
Pay attention.
Okay, as the energy transition accelerates, especially in Malaysia, so how is Petronas balancing their investments between the traditional hydrocarbon assets and also emerging sustainable energy ventures? So as we know that maybe we have currently fluctuations oil price in the global, right? And also geopolitical uncertainties. So how Petronas manage it?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. You're very apt, and it grapples a lot of energy and oil and gas companies, not just Petronas. Whether you're Shell, BP, Castrol, everyone is grappling with what happens. As I mentioned earlier, our view is not a question of if, but rather when, in acceleration in Malaysian context. I can speak from two lenses, one from a global context, one from a Malaysian PDB-centric context. On the PDB-centric context, we have a base view of when that's going to happen, and roughly it's going to be around the mid-2030s before we see a steady, not a sharp decline of consumption for traditional hydrocarbon energy sources such as petrol and diesel. Jet fuel, we think, is going to take a lot longer for the decarbonization because the technology is not yet there to be able to replace the power intensity and calorific value of jet fuel for aviation industry as an example. Right? So in doing that, what we need to do today is to prepare. We do have double lenses also in that lens where we take on the responsibility of being a government-linked company as well as a public listed company. We will be the last man standing in terms of the last to exit because it is a transition. We monitor very closely new sales of ICE, new sales of ICE vehicles as well as EV and hybrids. So we do know that if you've just acquired a new Proton, for example, you're not going to say, I'm going to stop using it in the next 2 years. There will be a constant demand, so we can see the flow, but we understand the trends. And that's why for us, when we talk about capital allocation, in terms of investment, there is a definite, deliberate attempt towards diversification, and we've been embarking this journey for quite some time. Very soon, you know, it's already in public domain. If you look at, because we're a listed company, we do publish agreements that we sign in. By early next month, we will have a venture in terms of distributing EV two-wheelers with battery swapping technologies, purely EV vehicles. However, the Budi 95, in my opinion, sort of makes it more difficult for Malaysians to transition because as of today, the total cost of ownership for an ICE vehicle is still 30% less than an EV vehicle. If you take a look at the entire cost of ownership, because in part it's subsidized by the petrol that we see today. Now, if the petrol was removed, then it would be closer to playing field. At the group level, Petronas, as you know, we also created a venture called Gentari. Gentari is designed, this generation and Lestari, they call it Gentari, designed to really look at renewables energy. 3 key areas that we look at: solarization as industry, green hydrogen technology, as well as green mobility segment in terms of driving that. Yes, there's a high capital expenditure outlay in the initial years, but you need to lay down the foundation for growth. So it's a balance because we cannot just abandon all our traditional assets. They require maintenance, they require upgrading, there's safety concerns that we're going to do. But it's quite deliberate and it's strategic in terms of the shift. Of course, the larger you are, it may seem like it's a slow shift, and that's because you cannot just automatically just chop off the traditional businesses. Even then, the traditional businesses shouldn't rest and remain constant. I think there's a lot of opportunity for decarbonization and in improvement in processes and investment in new system. Electrification is a clear example of having differentiated barrels. Malaysia is also embarking on sustainable aviation fuels, which we've already targeted 1% by 2027, and we are working closely and investing in biorefineries. There's also biodiesel component, which, in my opinion, there's 2 schools of thought in terms of biodiesel, because Malaysia should craft our own view of sustainability as well. We shouldn't let just one myopic view of the Western world dictate the policies that we deploy. We need to understand where we have leverage and advantage and do advocacy work also. So even though Malaysia is a relatively small nation, but I think in the larger scale, as a nation, we are punching above our weight, in my opinion, my humble opinion, punching above our weight, if I can use that terminology, in terms of the credibility and the presence of our leaders in our country, especially leveraging in OECs as well as Islamic countries, etc. We are highly respected. So there's an opportunity for us to go pound for pound, able to craft policies and all that. I know it's a bit long and it's a bit, I don't want to turn into a full lecture, but in general, that's the overall landscape, the way how I see it. Thank you, beautiful question.
Thank you, Mr. Azrul. That offers a great clarity, and I think we shall move to the next question because I received a few questions from the online session. So this is not a targeted question. So maybe any of you would like to
Like the young man.
would like to take up on the question. So question from Miss Harnida Yusof. In the light of the in light of the ASEAN Business and Investment Summit 2025 theme of unifying markets for shared prosperity. So how can innovation and disruption be leveraged to create sustainable value, not only within the organization but across ASEAN markets, especially in ways that empower future talent and foster regional collaboration? So I believe that this might have been covered, but you may somehow briefly summarize it beautifully, yeah?
Okay, just want to share on the ASEAN level. Actually, Malaysia is targeting to become a Tibet training hub for the ASEAN. So ASEAN, I think we have more than 650 million population. I think it's a very big population. And now Malaysia taking advantage as a ASEAN leaders. Then now we are planning to create more on the training event based on the industry. That's why we are aiming all the ASEAN country will be coming to Malaysia. We're working closely also with even the university. We can create more certification that is recognized by the industry. So just to share also, at the global level, actually now hiring some of the multinational company, they waive not to have a degree. This is more on the technical and competency skill. This is where we want to get more certification that is recognized by the industry, especially all related to AI technologies, renewable energies, and all the competency that is not only for today but for the future technology. So now I think we work closely to become Malaysia as a Tibet training hub center. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuan Haji, that shed some light in the context of ASEAN. Before I proceed to the question from the online session, do we have any more questions from the audience here? Okay, alright, sure, go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Daniel. I'm from Zendi. We are one of the tech company. I have a question for Mr. Takaful. Since a lot of my clients are using buy now pay later, so what we do is that we are a payment gateway company. So we provide a lot of payment services for insurance company, insurance aggregator. So do you think that Great Eastern will adopt buy now pay later, because out there a lot of insurance company are adopting these payment channels because it helps a lot for the B40 communities. So that's one of the questions I have for Great Eastern. So another question for PDB. Do you think that you can replicate sort of like a Walmart or Amazon ecosystem? Because to be honest, I'm an avid user of Cycle, but sometimes I feel it's very convenient if I could probably self-checkout, instead of queuing during the festive seasons. That's my thing. Thank you.
Okay. Participating in Takaful using BNPL, Ustaz. Ini soal untuk Ustaz sebenarnya. Because I believe there is a Sharia issues about it. I'm sure because the company that participating is conventional, I believe so at the moment.
Conventional.
Yeah, conventional. I think none of the Takaful company participating into that area yet. So this is more on the Sharia part to comment. I don't dare to give any feedback, but I'm not a big fan of BNPL. For me, if you can't afford, just delay the purchase decision. As simple as that, if you can't afford. So it's about managing financial prudently.
Firstly, thank you so much for being Settle user. It's people like you that makes us wake up at night and go to the office every day. It's because we have to delight our customers. But anyway, yes, when it comes to Settle, okay, this one I will share maybe not so much from your lens, but from a business lens, from a CEO lens. So from my lens, literally, if you ask people within Settle, they're very fired up. They're super motivated, and they want to do this, that 1,000 different things that they want to do. But resources are constrained, and you need to optimize and work within whatever resources that you have. Because once you have people developing it, for now, it's still not very. You're still using a lot of AI, but there's still a lot of people. You're channeling your resources to a particular thing, and in Malaysian legal context, you also have challenges of hiring and firing, right? So people come in, you need to make sure that that funnel of innovation continues in various ways. So it's about channeling, and prioritization is a difficult and sometimes unpopular call that the board and myself as chairman of Settle need to be part of. So for example, in 2025, when we knew that the government is going up with Budi 95, a lot of innovation projects were sort of taken a step back because we need to channel all our resources, because we cannot fail the country when it comes to delivering a solution that helps the government reduces its the trade deficit, the deficit of budget subsidy, and yet be able to deploy adequate amount of subsidies for the rakyat in terms of elevating the floor. So that's being done. In terms of what you're saying specifically, e-commerce element, we have developed technologies. You know, Steve Jobs always say, I'm sure you guys, students would know, like he always says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect the dots on hindsight or looking backwards. And he related this when he studied calligraphy, and that's embedded in the design of Apple products. For us, we also develop stuff that sometimes we do not know what the utilization would have this spin-off effect. So for example, one of the things that Settle is really a forefront, and we have companies that are from overseas that are trying to knock on our doors to partner us for solutions, similar solutions. And one of them is the geofencing of Settle. If you look at Settle and you go to a Petronas station, you will see that you're already immediately identified at this Petronas Station Sri Hartamas, that geofencing location. Could that be now looking at partnerships to consider as the toll democratization of it, additional layer, instead of you going through your RFID, sometimes ada kadang-kadang kena ghostan keluar masuk, could that be an impact? So there are many innovations that we do. From a marketplace point of view, we have developed an ordering system where you can go into the Settle app and already decide, I want to buy coffee or I want to buy something from the Kedai Mesra ahead of coming in, and someone will come and deliver to you as you fuel up. That feature is not there. It's just that that feature is there for many of the stations. However, not many people are taking it. So it could be a promotional method that we haven't put in enough marketing dollars into elevating that. But again, prioritization based on limitation of resources, also some constraints that we need to consider. Eventually, when the market size grows, I think these are opportunities as well. A part of the group system is also looking at the fact that Petronas has invested and leveraged in motorsports. We also sell merchandise such as F1 merchandise, T-shirts, etc., which is also, by the way, 100% owned by Petronas Dagangan. We have a separate unit for that looks at those merchandise. And what we see is now they're getting more and more traction of purchasing online for that. But we are very mindful of what we are and what we are not. And for us to immediately take on the trajectory, that means there's a trade-off conversation about what needs to be deprioritized. Because if you prioritize everything, you're prioritizing nothing. So whether that is in our roadmap, yes, at some point, but we have our immediate, medium-term, long-term strategies that we will slowly build on that, and that's a strategy that we have internally that I can't share the full details, but conceptually, just wanted to share that view and insight in terms of decision making in the corporation. Thanks for the question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Azrul and Mr. Shuhad, for answering that great question. So I actually received a few more questions from the online session, but we are in the interest of time. And it's actually 2 questions for you, Mr. Azrul. But I have a question for myself, and I want that to be answered today. So for the last question, it will be a question for me. And any of you guys, three of you who would like to take on this question, you are very much welcome. So if any of us here are wanting to be a future CEO or even industry leaders, what advice would you give to us today?
Alright, very quickly, something I give my children the same advice. I give all what we call the hello hires whenever we have new intakes, and when I talk about and addressing the younger generation. One thing that I like to quote sometimes is a statement by, I think, Albert Einstein, and he talks it about in a different context. What he says is the 8th wonder of the world is compounding, and the compounding interest. But that's from a financial point of view, and I look at Ustad and I start to worry about all the Sharia questions that may come attacking me after this. But I want to talk a bit about compounding the power of knowledge. The more knowledge you acquire, the more practice that you have in deploying knowledge, even for us here today, ability to share with you is strengthening our core knowledge in order for it to be compounded. Not only a multiplier effect to people in the room, but also internally in the mind. So if I were to say, divide your career into 1/3. Your first 1/3 of career has to be about learning predominantly. Don't worry about the money will come. Learn how to survive with less if you have to. But the less knowledge you acquire in the early years, the spillover for that knowledge is a basis for it to be compounded as you draw on new information. Using that base knowledge, that growth trajectory is compounded. As you go into your mid 1/3, you need to develop leadership capabilities, because you need to know how to lead projects, you need to be able to drive, and your last 1/3 has to be about giving back. And I'm in my last 1/3 career. Given this opportunity, has to be about thinking of the next generation and the continuity of the organization and mankind benefited as a whole. So in a nutshell, that's how I would advise people in doing that. If you have your mindset correctly, people will respect you, people will appreciate you, the opportunities, whether it's CEO, C-suite, whatever it is, inshallah rezeki tu ada. Don't be worried. Be focused on developing your own knowledge first as a basis.
Thank you, Mr. Azrul. Maybe Mr. Shuhad, or maybe we go one round. Start with Mr. Shuhad. Yeah.
Even though I'm not CEO yet, I can give some comment how to become industry leader, especially at a young age. Rasa-rasa berapa usia saya? Secret.
Kacamata dapat apa-apa tak?
Apa dia?
Ada 25.
Okay, I consider as quite young, senior management team. I just want to share how I reached this level. Knowledge is 100% must be there. That's one. But the most important thing that you need to have is a mindset. Because without mindset, without the correct mindset, you can't go further up. What kind of mindset that the graduate need to instill today? For me personally, is a growth mindset. Never settle for business as usual or BAU when you join any organization. What I mean by that is, don't stay at your comfort zone doing the same thing over and over. You need to solve problem within the organization. When you solve problem, that's the opportunity for you to grow up. So that mindset of wanted to grow is a must if you want to become as an industry leader or future leader. So knowledge acquire here, but I always wanted to urge all the students in front of me, you need to also develop other set of knowledge yang tak diajar dalam kuliah ataupun kelas. Whatever you learn today, let me tell you, 65% whatever you learn today might not be applied, okay, may not be exist pun in the job world by 2030. That is the statement from the World Economic Forum. So lecturers, I also want to advise lecturers, you need to prepare, you are preparing, you need to ask this question, are you preparing the student for the job that exists today or the job that does not exist yet? So how to prepare them? You need to instill this mindset, this soft skill, leadership skill, problem solving skill, AI literacy. Mungkin tak ada dalam this course. Those are the additional effort that you need to acquire now, early, so that you be more competitive than the rest of other people. That's my comment.
Thank you, thank you. So one last point maybe from Tuan Haji, a very comprehensive point from you, yeah.
Okay, I have one very good, I think good advice. If you want to become a CEO, you must take MBA from AHBS. Because why? I can say that it's proven to me. And I can just share how I actually got into this CEO of GITC actually from the open interview, job street. So I think what I have learned from AGBS, something that I think, of course, one thing is a rezeki, but I'm also coming from a background of diverse from business, from engineering, and also from TVET. So one of the things I can say first is you at TMG Hatiku. At TMG Hatiku from diploma and from Apple, I got into MBA from you. So I think this for the student, for the young leaders, stay hungry for the knowledge is number one, and then you must be agile. And now today we are talking about VUCA world, right? Volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So you must be able, first of all, because of the